Welcome back, people. I'm Arcblight, and let's talk about Wolcen again. Let's vent about it. Let's discuss how this game is failing, but more importantly, how this game can turn things around. What does Wolcen need to be successful? Well, here are my thoughts on that. I've compiled a list of everything that ruins the experience of Wolcen and also some quality of life changes that I think would make this game significantly better. This may not cover everything possible, and maybe I even forget about some major stuff. If that is the case, feel free to leave your feedback in the comment section. So starting off, I wanted to cover the super obvious stuff. Wolcen needs better optimization and bug fixes. The game lags a lot, especially in full groups online. It also lags when you open an expedition portal and for the first minute or so that you enter it. At least it did for me a lot and for a few of my friends. As far as bugs, there are many within the game, some being that sometimes when you die and fail an expedition, you get returned to town and end up stuck in the ground, having to return to the main menu to fix that. I've also seen many times that the game client has crashed for people while they're in combat, especially when they're about to defeat a boss. Another bug I've experienced is with finishing an expedition and not being able to turn it in after completion and having to miss out on the rewards and productivity, which is super frustrating. Other things I think Wolcen needs are gear stats that affect summons. The only thing summons get for buffs are from the passive tree and the skill modifiers, which leaves every summon build feeling basically the same. I think spell damage increases or new stats on your gear should impact minions as well. And on the modifier topic, a lot of modifiers in the game need better stat specifications on what they do when they're selected. Some have it and some don't. For example, on a summon skill, a modifier will state the summons have more health or do more damage, but they don't say how much of either, and they also don't specify whether it's just that specific summon or if it's all summons in general. And like summons, there are many skills that need better balancing. Some are too weak or just not as good as another skill, so they go unused. And also, I'm glad Bleeding Edge was nerfed, but the cooldown thing was a bit too much. I can function okay without the modifier, but only just okay. The skill being overpowered allowed us to fly through content faster, but now that I see what it's like without it being overpowered, combat and boss fights just really drag on. I think all skills need a boost to level this out, even Bleeding Edge, just a little bit. And while on the subject of long drawn out boss fights, let's talk about bosses in general. So not only bosses, but champions and specialists tend to have massive health pools and deal large amounts of damage. Typically, I'd be okay with this, but even with a good build, these enemies can take way too long to beat. If you take this fact and add to it the fact that you have to complete 3 maps to unlock the next difficulty, then a lot of builds can take an insane amount of time to push through difficulties, which is very annoying if you didn't capitalize on utilizing the exploits or getting carried by other people before the patches came. You can have fun in a map, clearing enemies with relative ease only to hit a wall when you encounter certain bosses. And if that boss has regeneration and tough as modifiers, then good luck. Everything you did was most likely for nothing, because these bosses are damn near impossible to take down. And what about after you finally kill a boss? You put that time and effort summoning all your John Wick skills and you're rewarded with nothing. These powerful enemies don't tend to drop anything useful 9 times out of 10. Is that right? Or is it 99 times out of 100? Either way, Magic Find in this game is miserably useless, it seems. You can be running a 187 map with like 700% Magic Find and still not see a legendary or unique drop for you. And when a legendary finally does drop, when you see that glorious item teleport into existence and float in the air before you, guess what the odds of that item having any stats you care about are? Pretty low. So the fact that finding legendaries isn't a common thing with 700% Magic Find, and that the odds of one of them even having the stats that you want is also low, this game does not feel very rewarding for your time investment. Especially when you take a long time to down a boss and have 0 reward for your investment. The same issues apply to Uber bosses as well. These should be way more rewarding. Maybe with these bosses, instead of massive health pools, we can implement fight mechanics with really good rewards. The bosses from the campaign had very creative fights, and transferring that combat style to Expedition or even just the Uber bosses would be really fun. I'd love to see an Uber boss that requires some mechanics and maybe even some team fight bosses where one person has to go stand on a platform at a certain moment while the other player has to go do something else to trigger an effect against the boss. I don't know, just cool raid type encounters or something like that with the potential for really awesome loot. And as far as expedition maps, I still feel like some monster packs should be a bit more dense. Sometimes there's just enough for fun engagements, and other times you encounter 5 monsters at a time, and it's just a slightly boring push. watching that progress bar climb ever so slowly. More armor and weapon types, for cosmetics especially, would be really cool, but that's lower on my priority so far. Like, it'd be convenient, but definitely not necessary right now. Having more skills would be really cool as well, but again, low on the priority, and definitely after they fix and balance the ones that they already have. Oh, and I'm not sure if I'm alone on this, but I would really like to be able to just respec one point at a time, as opposed to having to redo all of my passive skills at once. Most times, I just want to change a couple choices that I've made, not start at square one. So what I have to do is I screenshot what I have and plan out the changes later, when it would just be more convenient to undo one or two and redo a few now and then. Let's see, what other things could we improve on Wolcen? Maybe being able to upgrade gem tiers to make use of the lower ones that we've collected. Maybe change our character portraits to be better reflections of our characters, because all of us having that basic gray portrait is kind of lame. But that's just a convenience thing. It's not really needed. It's just weird to see every now and then. And I'm sure I could continue to nitpick and find all kinds of things to improve, but these are just the ones I've come up with so far. If you think I missed any, especially any really important ones, feel free to shout them out to me in the comments below. Or you can even stop by my stream to discuss any opinions that you have at twitch.tv/Arcblight. For more Wolcen content in the future, feel free to hit that subscribe button. And as always, you wonderful people, thanks for watching.